Hi guys, I'm Moldran and some people have been asking me what spec I'm going to use in patch 1.0.5 as Barbarian for farming and so on, and if I made some adjustments to my current spec. And as you can see here, yes, I made 2 adjustments. And the first one is, I'm not using bash anymore. I was using bash with instigation, pulverize, onslaught and so on, because I thought it's the best way to get fury back against single target. But I was actually proven wrong. Like, you can use frenzy now, and frenzy increases your attack speed, so this means that you get more crits and you also get more chance to get fury back. I'm using frenzy with maniac now, which I say is at least as much fury as bash. Of course it depends on your gear level. With less than average gear, bash is probably still the way to go, but once you reach a certain level of gear, you should definitely look into frenzy. Because of the fast attack speed and because of the big DPS bonus. Like, single target DPS actually matters in patch 1.0.5, especially against key wardens or uber bosses, so you really want to maximize your damage output while still being able to maintain your rough berserk buff. And yeah, the second change that I did is a passive. I'm not using Boon of Vulcatus anymore, because on monster power 5+, it's actually, with the right gear, pretty easy to keep your rough berserk permanently up. So instead I'm using a defensive passive, Inspiring Presence, and after a shout you regenerate 2% of your maximum HP per second. So in my case, with 60k HP, that's 1.2k life per second, and 1.2k life per second on gear is pretty much, but you can get it with a single passive, and if you get 1 or 2k more life per second from your gear, then you get like 3k life per second, which is really a lot, and helps together with life on hit and lifesteal in keeping your life to full all the time. Yeah, there's another thing that I could change, but I didn't have the time to test it yet, and this is if you can replace Warcry with Rend. And there are 2 good runes for Rend. One is Ravage, which increases the range of it, and the other one is Mutilate, which acts like a snare. So that's something that I'm gonna test next week and look into, but right now this is my current spec, and I'm also gonna show you how Frenzy works, how I can keep my fury up with it, and yeah. Let's do this. Okay, so here I have a small selection of mobs. 1 champion pack, a few white mobs and 1 rare lead. And yeah, most of the time you're still gonna use just normal whirlwind. Obviously I'm taking a lot of damage here because of the positioning. There are many arcane beams around me. But yeah, it's monster power 7. For my gear level, that's not really too hard, but you just need to find the right monster power for yourself, where you can survive and also where it doesn't take too long to kill. And as you can see, keeping my rough berserk up is absolutely no problem at all with using whirlwind. And what I want to show is that you can also keep it up and even refresh it with using frenzy. This might be new. So I'm just killing off all the mobs first, or here you can already test. My frenzy is like halfway, and I'm just using frenzy, not anything else. And it's full again. And you can also use frenzy in combination with whirlwind. For example, you whirlwind, and then you get 5 stacks of frenzy, like I have now. I just can't see it because the buff system still isn't changed. And then you whirl again, and then you refresh your frenzy again, and so on. Like, this is maximum DPS, and it's also maximum fury gain, which means that your rough berserk is always going to be up permanently. Here you can see it's up permanently. And now I'm just trying to find the next mobs and refresh it there. And that's a good thing in the patch with the increased monster HP pools. You can just try to find a pack and refresh your rough berserk. For example, here, rough berserk was almost over. So now I found a pack, and you can see it doesn't take longer or more than 10 seconds and it's gonna be full. You just gotta spam, as you can hear, Battle Rage and Sprint. So you spend your fury and then you can refresh it. And yeah, with the right gear, and if you customize your gear, keeping up rough berserk really isn't a problem in patch 1.0.5, and I think Barbarian is going to be a really strong class to farm it. Okay, so now for the attack speed test, I got two different sets of gear. The first gear is my current gear that I'm usually using, and as you can see, my attacks per second alternates between 1.59 and 1.71, so you can say 1.65 on average. And then I also purchased these new items just to test this, and as you can see now, my attacks per second now are 2.95. And just to demonstrate this with Bash, this is without Frenzy, without Rough Berserk, you see how fast it is. And now imagine that every Bash procs life on hit and also has a chance to give you Fury back. Wow. And just to compare it, I'm gonna put on my old gear again. And this is the normal attack speed. So you see it's much slower. And what I'm gonna test now is how are sprint tornadoes affected by this attack speed. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna test now and demonstrate. And let's see how it goes. I don't need Valve for this. Maybe I wanna have Ignore Pain with Ironhead. First I'm gonna get some Fury, and then I'm gonna spawn a tornado. This is my normal gear. Okay. I didn't hit him. Gonna try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right, there was 12 ticks. So now I'm gonna put on my attack speed gear and then test it again. Alright. Let's see if we can notice any difference. Turn this one. I didn't proc. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11. Fuck, I lost count. Damn. I really gotta analyze this in slow motion and then tell you the results. But I think this could be around 20, maybe even 30, I don't know. I was able to count it to 11, but then I lost count. It was way too fast. And yeah, let's analyze this now. Okay guys, so I just counted the number of ticks in Sony Vegas with slow motion, and it turned out to be 15 ticks with my original gear setup. I counted 12, so maybe I should go back to elementary school again and learn counting. But yeah, with the double dagger high attack speed setup it was 30 ticks. And now this doesn't tell us much except that sprint ticks are affected by attack speed, but that's probably not news for many people. But if you remember my latest video, Offensive Stats, I was already talking about attack speed, and I linked you this thread where a guy did some amazing analysis. And what you can see here, for example, my attack speed with the daggers was 2.95. So here in the category, like 2.95 is in this range, 30 ticks. And with my original gear setup, with the accents on, I had 1.65 attacks per second on average. What do we have here? 15 ticks. So I wouldn't have needed to do all those counting and calculations. I could have just looked at my attack speed number and find out how often it ticks here. Now sprint always takes 3 seconds, but depending on your attack speed you get more ticks. But what's really valuable here and what's really interesting information is that certain attack speed ranges or attacks per second ranges have certain amount of ticks. So for example, if you have 2.0 attacks per second, you get the same number of ticks as if you would have 2.21 attacks per second, for example. And this is very important information when gearing up your character. For example, there isn't that much point to go from 2.0 to 2.1 attacks per second, but obviously there is if we go from 2.2 attacks per second to 2.25, because that's 3 ticks more. And what's also interesting here is, for example, here you can see starting from 1 attack per second, you always get 1 tick more in the next range of attack speed. But then, for example, here you get 2 ticks more, so going from 1.54 to 1.67 is a big increase. 167 to 182 is not that big, but after that every increase is big. But what I think, like realistic numbers, where you benefit a lot from attack speed is 1.67 for starters, and then also 2.0, or if you're really good geared and got attack speed on many pieces, 2.23 or 2.5, because that's then when you really get many ticks. And it's not just sprint tornadoes. What he says is he also did research on whirlwind, and he had the same APS scaling as sprint tornadoes. So you increase your farming speed a lot if you take a look on this sheet and try to find the attack speed. And as I said, especially the numbers on the left side are very important, because those are the numbers that give you additional ticks per second and also additional whirlwind hits. So yeah, that was my video. I hope it wasn't too theoretical for you, and maybe you learned some valuable information for you that helps you with gearing your character for the next patch. And yeah, that was it. Don't worry, I'll be back.